Okay, so let me see. The first question here is a little bit of they want a little bit of bio background on the Breeders. Maybe you could give us a sort of a brief description of how you got together.
Okay, are you taping this and then you'll translate later or something?
Yeah, this is being taped, exactly.
Oh, okay. Let's see, a brief description of the Breeders' history. Mm-hmm. Probably it was in maybe 89 or something like that, or 88 or something. Me and Tanya Donelly, mm-hmm. from the Throwing Muses, were in a Boston disco, not 70s disco, but a regular dance disco, like modern music disco. Mm-hmm. We got drunk and we thought we could make a dance song together. So we got the drummer for the Throwing Muses, David Narciso, to play the drum kit, mm-hmm. and the drummer from the Pixies, David Levering, to play a hired-out drum machine that I hired out at a music store. Mm-hmm. And I played the bass guitar, and Tanya Donelly played the electric guitar. It lasted one day. We sucked really bad. But it kind of broke the ice between me and Tanya, mm-hmm. and we kept, going over to each other's house and showing each other's songs and stuff. And when 4AD, our record label in England, found out about it, they asked us if we would send a demo. Mm-hmm. We said, sure. And then they said, that sounds good. Go ahead and record it. Mm-hmm. So then I said that I knew this bass player, English, Josephine Wiggs. I had met her in Frankfurt, Germany, actually, because she had gone to a Pixies show, mm-hmm. and she was visiting a friend there. So I had a bass player. She said she was a vegan. She could have said she was a vampire. I didn't know what it meant. She was exotic. I thought she was cool. And then Steve Albini suggested this drummer, Britt Walford, from Louisville, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. So all of us went over to Scotland outside of Edinburgh, and we recorded Pod, the first album. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the history. You want me to keep going?
Okay, well, I believe then you were still, officially a member of the Pixies at that time.
At that time, yes.
Yeah, so you were just...
And Tanya was in... Go ahead.
Yeah, so you were just sort of doing this as a side thing.
I know. People say side project. I thought I was in two bands. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that, you can't really be in a band, mm-hmm. in two bands. You have to be in one band. Mm. But... I've been told since then, and now I understand that I was only in one band. Mm-hmm. No, I think, people think it's a side project because we didn't do a lot of heavy touring with it. We only played 2 shows, and we didn't do the press that usually follows an album. But I never called up Josephine and said, hey, do you want to play bass in my side project? Mm-hmm. It had a band. It was a band. We had 4 members. It wasn't a dance, studio file dance thing. Mm. It was very much a band. We just happened to just record records.
But you first thought it was just sort of a natural thing to be in 2 bands. It wasn't.
I thought it was allowed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when exactly did it start occurring to you that this was not possible?
Well, it was possible. Because when I started to do interviews and people said, and last year in Ireland, I had an Irish journalist just throw down his interview pad and said, you can't possibly be in 2 bands. I guess that's when it occurred to me that I wasn't allowed to be in 2 bands.
Okay, but it wasn't causing any strife within the Pixies?
No, not at all. We did it outside the schedule. Throwing Muses also were a band, and so were Perfect Disaster, so there wasn't, and Flint. So it wasn't just a Pixies thing to contend with. There were other bands. Mm. People were in other bands. All of us were in other bands. The Pixies were the most popular.
This guy was wondering, though, was the Breeders sort of an outlet for you? Was it an outlet for the Pixies?
Yeah, it was different than the Pixies, but if people want to, they tend to paint a picture of me sitting in the corner, moping, talking about my creative outlet not being, I just, it wasn't like that. That's so uncool. Again, we got drunk. We thought we could do it once the ice was broken, and with the Pixies and the Throwing Muses just happened to have time off. Mm-hmm. It was a cool thing to do.
How about for Tanya? Was it just sort of a lark for her? What exactly do you think it represented to her?
I think she was curious about being in another band other than Throwing Muses. She'd been in that band and only that band for many years, since she was like 14 or something. Mm-hmm. So I think she was excited to play with a different group of people. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, when we went to do our second album, Safari, mm-hmm. at that point, Tanya didn't know if she was going to be on the album or not, because meanwhile, she had quit the Throwing Muses, and she had a rhythm section, the Gorman Brothers in New York, and she was thinking of names for her band. We were trying to help her do all this. Mm-hmm. So and then Kelley, my sister, played guitar on that. Mm-hmm. So I forgot the question now.
The question was, what do you think the band was to Tanya? The reason why I was asking that is because this guy in his questions here was wondering if you were sort of frustrated with your role in the Pixies and you were looking for,
No, see, that's what it is. People think that. No, I would never go. That's like so uncool.
Mm-hmm.
It's not practical. It's not feasible. It's not realistic to assume that just because I started another band that I was frustrated in my role as a Pixie. I was a bass player. Mm-hmm. It was cool. No problem. We had some fucking time off, It was fun, and I thought we were good. I thought we were good. I like Tanya. I respect her as a songwriter. I think she's, a good singer, too.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to try to get me to sit in the corner moping and nobody really appreciates me, I mean, that's bullshit. It didn't happen. People like to assume that, but it didn't happen.
So like when the Pixies broke up, I would imagine, what did you think to yourself? Well, I've got the Breeders, and I guess this stuff's going to be my main gig from here on in?
Exactly.
Oh, really?
Bingo.
Yeah. It was just sitting there waiting for you.
Yeah. I mean, actually, it wasn't sitting there waiting for us because in reality, I mean, again, this is another thing that people like to smooth over the edges, but in reality, the Pixies' last thing that we did was a U2 tour in 1992, and that finished up in May. Mm-hmm. We had a year off. The Pixies did. It was our first vacation in 5 years. So the Breeders toured Europe last summer. We toured two times in the States. And then we had Christmas, and then we drove out to San Francisco, and we were recording the new Breeders album. And we had done all that work, and we were recording the new Breeders album when the Pixies broke up. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like the Pixies instigated Breeders' work. Mm-hmm. It just so happens that things seem like that because it takes a while to get on a record company's scheduling list to release records. It takes a while to, actually go through the motions of recording and stuff. Mm-hmm. But we've actually been working as a band since May 1992 in this line of touring more than, we've worked all year long. Mm-hmm. For a year and a half we've worked. Well, yeah.
Was there any talk about, you're going into a different band, though? Were any other bands interested in you as a bass player?
God, I don't know. I hope so. That would be cool. Rolling Stones, I heard they needed a bass.
But you didn't get a call, huh?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that was just one of the questions, if you had been approached at all.
No, see, my first instrument was guitar. I picked up the bass to play I played bass with the Pixies. Mm-hmm. So, but I played guitar a lot. I'm a lot better at guitar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bass is just easy. It's only got 4 strings.
Okay. You're sort of the Ron Wood of female rock and rollers.
Why, did he play bass too?
Yeah. He went back and forth.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay,
anybody can go back and forth. Like I said, Stanley Clarke is probably rolling around right now screaming. But any guitarist can pick up the bass. It's got 4 fucking strings.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they can play it in a really cool way, but they can definitely get on with it.
Why did Tanya Donelly leave the band?
Like I said, we were in New York City recording Safari. We knew that she was going to leave. It wasn't a surprise. We actually were helping her pick out names for her new band as she was recording this record with us. At first she didn't think she could do Safari with us, but she can't stay away from us. So she did it with us anyway.
Why exactly did she leave the band?
Why did she leave the Breeders?
Yeah.
To work on Belly full time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
She was holding down 2 bands as well.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Okay, you guys like to spread yourself thin.
Well, at the time she was forming Belly.
Oh, I see.
And she knew that she didn't want it to be like that, like spreading herself thin. So she quit the Breeders and concentrated full time on Belly.
Oh, I see. Okay, so
but it was in the forming stages. Like I said, she just met the rhythm section. She was thinking up a name. Mm-hmm. Literally, during that period of time in New York City while we were recording, that's one thing I remember about Tanya. She was thinking, we were helping her think up names for her new band. And we all knew she was not going to play with us anymore.
Oh, I see.
And that's fine.
Okay, yeah, so it was a very amicable party.
Oh, absolutely. It was fun. Yeah. Oh, she's great. I just saw her a couple of weeks ago, too. She came over and visited me in Ohio.
So your sister Kelley had already been playing with you guys before that then, before Tanya left?
Yeah, Safari, right.
Yeah. So her entering the band as a full-time member was sort of a natural thing then, huh?
Yeah. Well, actually, I had asked her, I said, we could be a 3-piece, Kelley, because she played drums in high school. Mm-hmm. You could play drums, I could play guitar, and Josephine can play bass.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I don't want to play drums. I said, well, what do you want to play? She said, lead guitar. I said, you can't play guitar. She goes, I don't care. I want to play lead guitar.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, did she pick up the guitar then without you knowing it? I mean,
Well, in Safari, she just did a couple of guitar passes and some vocals. She's got a really good voice.
Uh-huh.
But on this album, in the interim, like I said, we've toured Europe. We've got 2 tours of the States, and she's gotten a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And she played all the leads on this past album.
Mm-hmm.
But she still needs to practice. I mean, she knows the songs that we play.
Mm-hmm.
She can't pick up a guitar and just jam, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
She knows the songs that we play.
No, she's your younger sister? Or?
No, we're twin sisters.
Oh, I see.
Uh-huh.
Which is older by minutes, I guess.
11 minutes, Kelley is.
She's the older sister.
Right.
I see. And you were basically responsible for her coming to the band then, I guess?
Yeah. It was just, like you said, it was a natural progression, even though she couldn't play guitar. Josephine thought, when I said, Kelley's going to play, because Josephine, during Safari, Josephine had thought, oh, Kelley's doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
But she really didn't, I don't think, pay attention really well. Mm. Kelley, at that time, really couldn't play guitar. Mm-hmm. She did dun, 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 dun. She was just starting. So when I said, yeah, Kelley, is gonna play lead guitar, that's okay, right? Oh, good, cool, okay. Yeah, it seemed natural. What she didn't know was how little Kelley knew, because the way Josephine says it is that everybody can play guitar. You just knock somebody on the street and you say, hey, hello, can you play guitar? And they go, yeah, I can play a little bit. Mm-hmm. People can play. My brother can play a little bit of guitar. My dad can play a little bit of guitar. You probably can play a little bit of guitar.
Right.
Kelley could play no guitar. And that's what surprised Josephine.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it was a natural progression. Yeah, it was a good idea. But that's just because Katherine.
Well, wait a minute. It says here actually, I was sent a couple of pages of bio before I started the interview here.
Yeah.
It says you guys played in an acoustic duo at truck stops and saloons.
That's right. I was playing the acoustic, though. Kelley wasn't playing anything.
Oh, she was just singing?
Yes.
So you guys were like singing harmony then?
Right,
Okay.
We're good at harmonies since we're from the same family,
Yeah, the voices mingle quite well, huh?
Yeah,
So is that her only background as a professional musician, is playing in a duo with you?
Absolutely. And her debut on Safari.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she's really new in the business.
Oh, God, you should have seen them last year when they were playing Glastonbury. Mm-hmm. It was like her 4th gig. Mm-hmm. And it was Glastonbury. It's a huge festival over in England. Mm-hmm. There's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, that must have toughened her up rather quickly to
Yeah, what is it called? Something about fire. Oh, trial by fire or something.
Baptism in fire, as we say.
Baptism in fire.
Yeah. But is your family musical, or did you just have
My dad tried to play guitar. And he was kind of, I don't know. I've heard they were musical. My mom and dad don't, but they like music. Mm-hmm. I remember listening to my dad's old songs. He had Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I remember that. War, Edwin Starr. Mm-hmm. I think he had cool taste in music. My mother, she likes Kenny G. Ew. So.
I see. That's a problem.
Yeah, that is a serious problem.
Okay. Well, do you think that having your sister in the band minimalizes the problems, or is there any more bickering than there would be, or how exactly does it work out?
Oh, Josephine has noticed that we do tend to get into arguments quicker, but then we make up, and there's like no hostility left over at all. It's like, oh yeah. Did you want another beer? I can run up and get you one. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like completely. We'll forget we're fighting after 30 seconds if somebody gets our attention. Whereas with other people, you're not as rude with them, but if you do get in a fight with them, that tends to, for 2 days you could stay mad at them,
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's kind of hard to smooth it over.
Yeah, but with Kelley, it's like,
Yeah.
And I'm glad, you know.
Is that different from like the Pixies? Do you think that there were more like lasting frictions in the Pixies?
I don't really know. I think just the fact that we were together so much, and I think Charles just really wanted to do a solo project is why that he didn't want to do the band anymore. And if it had been David or Joe who had said, "You guys, I'm tired. I want to do something else now," I would respect them as much as when Charles says, you know, whenever if anybody has a problem with it, it's not a problem, you know. Nope. That's great.
Yeah. You come from Boston.
Ohio. Lived in Boston for a while.
Oh, I see.
I'm back in Ohio now.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I see. But
I live with my sister in Ohio.
You okay?
Oh.
No, there's a question here about the Boston music scene.
No, I don't know. Tell him I haven't lived there for a while.
Oh, you've been out of Boston for a while.
Since like 1990.
Oh, right?
Because I was living in Boston, and then two guys moved to Los Angeles, and one guy moved to Rhode Island, and I'm in Boston. I'm saying I don't know anybody here except for the band, so I just moved back to Ohio, and I've been there ever since 1990.
Is that right?
Yeah, lived with my sister.
But
I'm not there so often. I could probably tell you about like the London music scene more because I spend more time here. I don't want to though.
Well, I guess it does say here that you guys are from Dayton, Ohio.
Right, Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, because when I think of Dayton, Ohio, though, I think more like about funk groups.
Oh yeah, Roger Troutman band. He's got a studio there. Ohio Players, Midnight Stars from Cincinnati, big funk thing.
Yeah. Are you much of a funk fan?
I like some of it. I do. I liked Fire, Roller Coaster. I like some Ohio Players songs. You dropped a bomb on me. That's that band song or something?
Exactly.
Yeah. I like some of the stuff, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, I got to skip this part on Boston then. Thanks a lot, interviewer.
Well, maybe they'll be interested to know about the funk scene in Ohio, and a lot of people don't know about that.
That's right. Are you qualified to speak on that?
Oh, no, I just know that there are certain bands from Ohio who are funk.
Well, what do you go out and see in Dayton, Ohio for?
Oh, God, nothing. There's nothing to say. There's a cool bar called Canal Street Tavern, and they have some touring groups, but they're very folk, eclectic, acoustic acts usually, instead of, it's kind of leftover from, like, I don't know, really. I don't know what it's leftover from. I wasn't around then, but it's left over. But there's some cool bands you can see there. But it's not a huge happening scene in Ohio because a lot of it is heavy metal, and it's not even like good fucking heavy metal. You know, a lot of it's like 38 Special, Night Ranger, metal.
Right.
So very spandexy, not cool, you know.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, why did you return to Dayton, though? I mean, wouldn't it have been cooler to live in Boston?
Well, I didn't know anybody in Boston except for the band. And so I moved back to Ohio. And see, it's not like I spend a whole lot of time there. Christine's counted up the weeks she spent at home this year so far, and it's like 5 or 6 weeks. So even though I live in Ohio, I don't spend that much time in there. Otherwise, I think I would die. But it's a nice place to go every now and then. My parents live there. Yeah.
Okay. I see. Question here about other performers. It says like somebody like Madonna uses sex as like I guess a way to sell her music.
Absolutely.
And that's like very antithetical to what you do. I mean, that's you don't do that at all. What do you think of a performer that does that, though?
Well, I think that they need to be reminded that Henry Rollins also uses sex. Anthony Kiedis, the singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, also uses sex. The Depeche Mode guy uses sex when he takes his shirt off and shows us his tattoos. Terrence Darby has nude pictures all over Europe. Men use sex just as much as women, although women seem to be seen as more shallow when they use it.
Good point.
I think it's completely normal, and if people want to go down to that base common denominator of sex equals take off clothes and show body to sell albums, that's fine. If that's what they want to do, no problem. Remember Rico, he was a Mexican thing. Marky Mark is a complete example of that. I actually heard of of an experience in Florida. I don't know if it's true. It might just be starting a cruel rumor about him. But I read it somewhere that he was in a Florida disco, and he had a commission to entertain the crowd there. And it says, and it was in his contract, that he will drop his pants and show his underwear. But it was a homosexual club, and he didn't want to do it. And the promoter had a serious time and said, if you don't take off your pants and show us your underwear, I'm going to hold you in breach of contract for entertaining, because, you know, basically that's what you do. That's what you're here for. So I'm sure that Marky Mark is now having existential angst about his I wish people would love me and respect for me for the talent that I am. But, you know, in the same way, he's gotten so much publicity for taking off things that he's kind of stuck with this thing. And much the same way as that Ricardo.
You think of Gerardo.
Rico
Suave.
Yeah, there you go. I remember on his first album, of course, it was very sexy. A lot of women would probably think it was sexist because it was a lot of chicks in bathing suits, but poor old Gerardo's there with his shirt off, you know, showing his smooth, got sun chest, you know, very, very sexy, good build and everything. And on his second album, he's just, you know, complaining, and nobody's taking me seriously. You know, they all just want me to take off my shirt and show my muscles.
It seems like women who are sort of linked with the so-called alternative scene are never really stuck in that category, in that rut, though. I don't
know. I'm not sure. I can't speak for all of them. I think that it's supposed to be like that. I don't know. I'm sure that there's girls who will take, you know, the L7 chick plays with her bra on. Courtney Love wears baby doll dresses that are very pedophile, big red lips. DJ Harvey is stripped for the Enemy. Lush has done naked body painting for the Enemy. I guess they try to do it in a more creative way, they think. But I'm sure that the guy from Depeche Mode thinks he's doing it in a very creative way also. But it's still using sex and not concentrating on the musical sounds and things like that, which is fine. I think that's fine. I'm not going to fucking do it, though. Not that. I don't need the money that bad or whatever.
Well, what I was getting around to that, with that question, though, is it seems like the alternative scene provides a very good medium for the female artist. I mean, you really, in alternative music, you're not expected to bear any cleavage, right?
Actually, I think if I was really going to look for a genre of music where it is very conducive for women, I would actually pick country and western music.
Really?
I think that in that case that they're Dolly Parton, you know, Patti Dare. I mean, I could name zillions old ones, but there's so many new ones. You know, Winona Judd doing her own thing now, and Katie Lang, well, she was in country and western. Now she's in adult music. But anyway, I would think that there's much, much more successful women in country and western rock music than there is in any other genre.
Is that right?
I think so, yeah. More so than in dance even. I think it's even more so than in pop music. But my second pick of a genre would be adult contemporary pop with Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, things like that. Madonna, I consider her one of those. The third category of genre that I would pick might be rhythm and blues or something like that. Soul music with Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, and many soul acts are women. But I don't know that music so well, but I do know that I see a lot of names that I can never remember. Another more country western musicians, Katie Osborne. Who's the girl? I don't know. I mean, Gloria Estefan in the pop genre. You know, I don't know. You're right. There is a place for women in all sorts of music. I don't know if alternative music caters particularly for women.
But I mean, certainly, I mean, you're more immediately accepted for your, you know, artistic merit as opposed to your pinup value, though.
No, I would take country and western music.
But I mean, you talked about, like, you know, adult contemporary, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. I mean, they're classic sort of pinup type of models.
Oh, yeah?
When you think about it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but I was talking about country and western music more even.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyway, let's move on to the next thing here. The guy here notes that Last Splash, it seems like, has a sort of tension and vibrance that puts it far beyond Safari and Pod, is it?
Yeah.
And it sort of, I guess, reflects more of seriousness on the part of the band, more commitment to, say, this latest project?
I could see where you think that, but again, we came into this record, and we were actually starting to record it thinking that I was still in the Pixies. That sounds nice and easy and clean cut for him, but it's not really true. I was already recording, and then I found out that the Pixies weren't going to be together anymore. That's not the time to change all the songs and create, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's not a time to garner an effect into the I don't think. I think it's just like that because we're like that. Another thing is maybe that that there's more. We took longer time to record it, maybe with more production, maybe, so it seems a little bit more put together instead of like just like a rehearsal recorded like Pod was.
Right.
Literally, we picked up our instruments. We didn't even wear headphones. We picked up our instruments. Steve Albini pressed record. We started the song, everybody together. This is on Pod. We finished the song. He pressed stop, and that is what you hear on Pod. Whereas, which is, kind of atypical in recording nowadays. Nowadays, you usually go in and you start, you begin layering in some whatever fashion you want to layer. So maybe the tension is in that, or maybe he just liked the songs better, or I don't know, maybe the guitars are louder.
Well, I mean, I guess the first thing that would come to mind is if you didn't have the Pixies commitment there, you could have more time to spend in the studio and go back to the same songs and brush them up and polish them a little bit more.
Yeah, but that sounds really good. But you book studio time well in advance. You can't decide on that day that we're going to spend another month in the studio because they're already booked. So the dates were there. We meant to spend longer on this album, but it wasn't because the Pixies. See, a lot of people tend to relate everything to the Pixies, and that's kind of a really hard thing to. First of all, I have to break down the question and separate the two because the two do not affect each other like that. I know that's not what they want to hear. I know they want to hear something that's really quotable and really bold, and have me wrap it all up for them and say how this Pixie incident affected this Breeders incident. But it just doesn't happen like that. So it's difficult to answer Breeders questions every time based on a Pixies reference. Because first of all, I have to take away the reference, and then I just have to go, well, see, in and of itself, forget the Pixies in that question. Why does he think this album sounds more tense? And I can only think of recording, the length of recording, and then I say the length of recording, and then is that because the Pixies, you had more time for recording because the Pixies broke up? It's like, no!
I mean, I think anybody would look for a causal relationship between the two. Like, for example, I think there's about 2 or 3 questions come up that sort of use the Pixies as a reference point, but bear with me here. He says,
oh, no problem. No, people do it all the time. I'm just explaining why I'm not giving really good answers.
Oh, no,
that's all.
They're perfectly fine. He talks about the Breeders having a certain brutality in your sound, that it's a certain brutality.
Is there?
That's what he says. Unless I'm reading the question wrong here, it says it sort of gives off a feeling of brutality. Then maybe
good. Just say yes. I'd say yeah. I can be brutal.
Okay, that's good. Let's get away from the sticky ones then. Okay. There's let's see. He says maybe a good definition of the Breeders is the Pixies minus the surf punk of Black Francis.
Oh, thanks a lot. I like surf punk. It's not Breeders. Oh, ignore that question.
Okay, good. I'll throw it at.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to the next one here. So wait, do you think there is surf punk in the Breeders sound?
Flip side, to me, I don't mean it to sound surfy, but I can see why people would think these are surf guitars. Da 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 da. Is there surf? I don't know.
Okay.
There's something that I ripped off this song called Sleepwalk, Johnny and Santos. But maybe that's not surf. I don't know.
Well, let's mark that question. None of the above. Okay, go on to the next one here.
Well, I guess mainly. Let me think. Answer this. It's his job to decide how the band is different from the Pixies or any other band in the world, not mine.
Okay. Good answer.
Yeah.
Well, he wants to know then if indeed the Breeders were like the Pixies without the surf punk element there, wouldn't that have made you like the core of the Pixies, thinking back in retrospect?
Tell him to suck my dick.
No, I'll tell him to smoke your dick. That sounds better.
Suck.
Okay.
And tell him I didn't mean it meanly. I'm just playing. Tell him I'm trying to be as difficult as I feel like these questions are.
Okay, no, believe me, with the difficult questions, we toss them right out. We don't even think twice about it.
Oh, you're not going to say that then?
Oh, no, we'll leave in all the choice quotes, believe me. We'll just throw out the lousy questions.
Okay.
There's a question about why the Pixies broke up.
Charles wanted to go solo.
Yeah, no, you're saying Charles. I have Black Francis written down here.
That's his nom de disque.
Okay.
Now he's known as Frank Black.
Okay.
It's confusing.
Okay.
Don't try to follow.
I'm a little bit weak on my Pixies background here.
Yeah.
He said something.
Skip the Pixie things. Get to the regular Breeders question. Sorry. Is there anything question that doesn't relate my entire life to the past 5 years?
Well, actually, let's see. I mean, the thing is, we kind of covered a lot of the Breeders.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not that much.
Cool.
Unless, like, you want to talk about, like, individual songs.
Sure.
But, I mean, there weren't any questions about. I think he wanted to kind of set the historical record straight, like, you know, what you were in the Pixies. And I think, like,
I was the bass player of the Pixies. Anyway, so I can tell you about Cannonball. Cannonball is the first single, and this is a good one to tell you about because the Last Splash, the title of the album, comes from some of the lyrics in the song.
Mm-hmm.
So I can cover two things in one thing, in one song. Cannonball, my sister was reading a biography of the Marquis de Sade, and I'm making fun of him. I'm saying, oh, you little libertine, you're a real cuckoo. If you want to go to hell, come on, let's go to hell. Don't just jump in, do a cannonball. Do you know what a cannonball is?
Yeah, like
when you tuck your legs up.
Yeah, when you dive into the pool and you're holding your knees to your
and you make the biggest splash you can. And you know what? I'm going to be right behind you. I'll be the last fucking splash. It's a commitment to hell, I guess.
I see. Okay. Okay. That's Cannonball. That's the first single.
Yeah, and the name of the album is called The Breeders' Last Splash.
Oh, wait, I have here, it says Cannonball's a 4-song EP.
On that, because it's a single, usually you want to make people it's the first thing released, so you don't want people to release. You don't want people to buy 4 songs off the album because that's a waste of money. Why don't they just buy the album? So you try to give them 3 additional tracks that aren't on the album, and those tracks are 900, which Josephine wrote and sings. Josephine's a bass player in the band.
Right.
And also, there is a demo version of a song on the album called No Aloha. And since this was a demo version, and the song was demoed at a studio called Cro-Magnon, see, the demo is on the lower evolutionary scale of that song, so we call it Crow Aloha. And then we have a cover song by Aerosmith called Lord of the Thighs. It's not recent. It was done in the 70s. Josephine sings that also. So, and you might want to remind the guy that, in the United States, there's a band called Belly, where Tanya Donelly, of course, was in that band. We get more questions about Belly and everything. How has Tanya leaving the band affected the music of the band? So we get all sorts of different relations of things. So any relation is bad, not just Pixies. But I mean, I don't care, but I don't really have to answer those relations.
Yeah. Towards the end there, the Pixies got really popular, though. I mean, weren't you guys, like, doing stadiums and stuff like that?
No, we were opening for people who were doing stadiums, though.
Like you two.
Yeah, that's it, We never did stadiums.
How big did the Pixies get? I mean, like, how many records were you selling?
Belly's bigger.
What's that?
Belly is bigger.
Belly is bigger than the Pixies.
L7 is bigger than the Pixies.
Yeah, is that right? I know, because, I mean, the Pixies are, were sort of legendary in certain ways.
Yeah, it's cool, yeah.
What do you have in mind for the Breeders, though? I mean, the same sort of thing, or what?
I don't think you really can start out and say I either want to sell a lot of records or I want to be a legendary band. I don't think that's well, maybe some people do, but I would just think I just want to make really cool records. I know that's really boring. I know people say it all the time. Sorry.
Well, that's fine. But looking back in retrospect on your Pixies records, are you more or less satisfied with what you guys accomplished? Or do you think?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you think you could have done it better if you had a chance to go back again?
I don't know. I don't know. It's like asking, can you do life better if you had the chance to go back again? I don't know. Do you think you can?
Yeah. I probably could. How about the records you've made so far with the Breeders? Have they been to your expectations?
Yeah, I really like them, yeah.
I mean, does the band click well in the studio, or are you better live, or?
I think we're really good both places because our albums are good, and I think we're really cool live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, Kelley's just sort of learning.
Oh God, I know that's one variable, isn't it? Any night, it's like, oh my God, can she be able to do this?
Uh-huh.
If she doesn't, I end up singing the lead guitar solo.
Do you see her improving from night to night?
Do we see Kelley improving from night to night? Josephine just came in.
Not from night to night.
Not from night to night.
Is it more of a month-to-month type of thing then?
Maybe. She's going to be really, we're starting to go on these really extensive tours, and I bet by the third of the way in, she'll just be killer. Good. In a good way.
But
it's not like we're going to kill her.
Yeah. Either she'll be killer or we will have killed her.
She is the big variable in the band at this moment, though, huh?
Live. Yeah. Whether she's going to play it right, yeah.
Uh-huh. But I guess you also can sort of inject a sort of freshness in that sense.
In a way, that's cool, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And have you had a chance to hear this solo record by Charles, I guess you're calling him?
Frank, I've heard it, yeah. I like a song off it called 10%er.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't listened to it that much. You've just heard like that one song? Or?
No, I haven't listened to it that much. It's not my taste in music. I really like kind of loud guitar rock music. But he's very talented, and he will be extremely successful in his life.
Are you a big music fan? Do you keep up with what's going on?
I'm a big music fan. Do I keep up with what's going on? I know things that are going on just because I'm interested in it, yeah. I know some things. What do you want to know?
Do people give you tapes and CDs and stuff?
Yeah, Some people do.
Mm-hmm.
Some people give me tapes.
Like, what sort of stuff has been on your...
Well, the last time I'll tell you what I brought over for this European tour. I brought over the Bjork tape, I brought over Palace Brothers, and I brought over Royal Trucks. And in Germany, when we were doing this press tour, like a week ago, I got the Rough Trade guy at the record company to give me the new Teenage Fan Club single. Mm-hmm. And I haven't listened to any of it except for the Teenage Fan Club single.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are you like a music fan mainly, or when you're not working, do you like go to...
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Which is it? I mean, are you music or non-musical off stage? I mean,
musical, absolutely.
Oh, really? So you're
all the time. I listen to it all the time.
Really? Did you
think about it all the time?
Do you go to see shows like when you're on the road?
I go to see shows, yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Like what have you seen recently?
Recently, it was great because ICA 4AD week, the 13th birthday party, just happened like 2 weeks ago in London. All these bands came over. We're all staying in the same hotel. It was so much fun. We did it. The Breeders played there 2 nights in a row. We got to see. Not only did we get to see them play, but we got to hang out with like Wolfgang Press, Lush, Pale Saints. His Name Is Alive, Throwing Muses, Red House Painters. I didn't see Heidi Berry or Brendan Perry play. Who else did we see? Unrest. His Name Is Alive. I think I already said that one. Anyway, we saw so many bands that week. It was great.
Do you hang out with these people a lot too, or do you have many?
No, because we're usually working. But so that's great because we've toured with them. We've toured with Unrest. The Breeders have. We've played with His Name Is Alive. We met Red House Painters, and when we were doing the album out in San Francisco. So and Throwing Muses, of course, we all know really well. So it's always nice when you run into each other, and to run into all of them at the same time. It was so much fun. We were in bed at 5 every morning, drinking all night long, waking up and trying to do like a little press, a little rehearsal, doing our shows. It's like, it was so tiring. It was really fun.
You're really enjoying yourself.
Oh yeah, it was a blast.
So you haven't gotten like soured on the music business yet. You're still like very enthusiastic. You're not jaded.
I might have gotten soured on the music business maybe, but not the music itself. Yeah.
You handle life on the road well then. You don't.
Pardon me?
You handle life on the road well. You don't fizzle out, sort of.
Oh, yeah, I do okay. Yeah. It's going to be good to go on tour this time because I haven't toured since. Well, the Breeders toured last fall, so we really, so it'll be nice. We played with a benefit with Nirvana in San Francisco when we were there, and then we did a couple of shows in New York City at the Academy with Sonic Youth, And then we played London last week. So it'll be nice to go on tour for a while.
One last.
Now ask me in 3 months after the tour starts, and I'll just tell you how much I hate touring.
Exactly. One last question here, and I'll let you go on your way here.
Okay.
Just this one last question on the Pixies. Why exactly did the Pixies dissolve? We just want to kind of set the...
I told you why.
No, it wasn't.
Go away.
It wasn't a satisfactory answer.
Well, go away. I'm ready to call, drop out, and M8. It's for Ireland and Scotland. It's a phoner, and it's supposed to have started at 1:30. It's supposed to have started 20 minutes ago. Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, nice talking to you, okay?
Yeah, okay, well, we'll talk to you again then, okay?
Okay, bye, Steve.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.